The same way that Destiny 2 is one of the most pathetically handled franchises in all of gaming's history, Bungie is also one of the most pathetic companies in gaming's history.
Bungie is engaged in a lawsuit right now that I find extremely interesting, and I tickled it a little bit last night on stream, but I want to get into the actual spaghetti and meatballs today. Now, obviously, this isn't Bungie's first rodeo with lawsuits. They've been involved in a couple high profile ones I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, but I wouldn't necessarily call them seasoned veterans, that this is just, business as usual. Not like Nintendo, who has more.
No, 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 no. This is different. You see, because this lawsuit it entails literally people getting taken as witnesses and YouTube videos discussing lore to prove someone right or wrong, which is insane. It is insane. And why? Well, because Bungie deletes their own content, which is hilarious.
Lawsuits than Elon Musk does children. Bungie has few and far between lawsuits, but most of you hear about them, such as like their big one not long ago where they actually had a huge victory over cheat makers, which I think was great. Their current battle, though, has got them fucking stun locked here. They are being sued by a writer who claims that Destiny stole his story for their campaign for Red War and Curse of Osiris. And Bungie is having a very difficult time defending themselves here. They can't actually produce the content to prove that they didn't steal from him. Thus, the lawsuit is still ongoing, and they're kind of getting embarrassed because of one
It is insane. This whole thing is insane.
simple thing that they have become so accustomed to doing. It's become like a fucking addiction. Sunsetting content. If you've played Destiny, you're familiar with this, and it's not just Destiny. Other games also take content out of the game over time. But Destiny takes entire paid things that you bought with your own clams, will take it out of the game and vault it. Now we're going to do like a full
So, if you don't know how bad and stupid of a company Bungie is and how mishandled Destiny 2 is, I wasn't lying at the start that they are legendary levels of atrocity, okay? Destiny 2 is a really good shooter, and it's kind of the only thing in the genre. It is the only thing in that specific region of what people want to play. Warframe, yes, Warframe exists, but even then, like maybe 30% of people who play Destiny are gonna unironically tell you, yeah, you know what, Warframe actually scratches the same itch, bruh. No, because it doesn't. Destiny is a unique existence with not a single competitor in sight at this point, or ever, honestly. And that has made the situation pretty interesting because, again, how bad Destiny is. If you don't know these stories, go literally look up any new player experience playing Destiny 2 story, and you will be astonished. The whole fucking game, pretty much, is just when you start playing, is like throttling you. It's fucking trying to kill you to get you to not play it and delete it. The whole beginner experience of Destiny yells in your face, please delete me. There's bugs. There's hard blocks, not even soft blocks. You get notifications about systems that you're not supposed to access for 10 more hours. There's no explanation what you're supposed to even do in the game. Sub quest markers just don't work properly. And that's in the tutorial. That's where you explain your game, okay? Listen, you finish Destiny 2's tutorial, and you're like, okay, now I'm in the actual game. But why the fuck does everything look suddenly different? Well, I'm gonna go buy a weapon from the weapons vendor. The weapons vendor is dead? What? What? And how does that happen? Well, that's because the tutorial is God knows where, and the Destiny timeline that you get dropped in is God knows where, and no one even knows what happens in between because almost all of the content that explains the story is no longer here. It is insane how mishandled Destiny as a product is. As a game, how mishandled it is. How, as anything, it's mishandled. It's just pure. It's just baffling.
dive in here like an actual colonoscopy on this case with everything we know right now, but I just want to give you the gist here. One of the things they vaulted is the entirety of the campaign for Destiny 2 when you first bought the game, Red War. I have bitched about that for the longest time now, that the campaign you bought when this game came out is no longer in the game at all and is completely inaccessible to the players. I think that is an unbelievably ridiculous concept, but I'm not going to just rant and rave about that like a lunatic again. But the community had always been under the impression that when content like Red War is vaulted, Bungie themselves can still access it. Like, they haven't just...
Yeah, that would be a reasonable thing to assume, right? But to be fair, it kind of seems reasonable to us, but does it for actual developers? I don't know, because, well, World of Warcraft Classic was not actually saved anywhere. They just luckily had some builds of it on, like, old flash drives and shit. That's what actually happened, for example, with World of Warcraft Classic. If there was no accidental flash drive with a build of the classic game, Classic would have maybe never even happened. These companies don't actually save this stuff, which is crazy.
Poofed it out of existence like some kind of fairy godparents took care of it. They haven't just erased it from the corporeal realm. But it turns out that is the case. Bungie has openly admitted they also can't access the content anymore in this lawsuit. They actually can't even get their paws on it either, thus they can't really defend their claims of innocence against the copyright claims. It's a mess. Like, they actually have just banished it to the fucking shadow realm here. Anyway, the lawsuit was started by a writer named Matthew Kelsey Martineau, and he worked under the pseudonym Casper Cole, and he published a story on his blog that he claims was stolen by Bungie for the Red War and Curse of Osiris story elements. Most notably, Red Legion, he's saying, was taken directly from his writings. Other shared elements mentioned between Red War and the DLC Curse of Osiris are things like celestial object hovering over Earth, war beasts, and more. From what I can find, Casper Cole had this published on his WordPress in 2013, 2014-ish, and this lawsuit was filed last year. Guessing he's not a big first-person shooter fan, must have not played any Destiny until then. But I'm gonna tell you, buckle up, sports fans, might be a hot take. There's nothing I see listed here that seems unique to Casper Cole's...
Yes. When he said these things, it doesn't seem unique. But people don't understand this, and this is what I guess this guy doesn't understand. Okay? And it's the fact that nothing is unique, but the way you compile shit is unique on the other hand. So that's kind of the big thing that they're going for, okay? Individual things, object hovering around the world, Jesus Christ, he might as well sue every Independence Day movie out there. But things cobbled together in very specific ways. Now, that is harder to actually just get randomly done again. And if there's if Disney has so many overlapping things with his writing, then that's pretty sus. Because again, none of the things in Destiny are unique. Magical globe resurrects person, Gauntz. Literally Gauntz, by the way. Gauntz. That's just Gauntz. That's the literal fucking story of Gauntz, almost. Okay? Object hovers above the world. I mean, there's movies about that shit even, okay? I'm not talking about Independence Day. We have all of this. But the way, the amount of things that overlap, that's the real thing.
Writing. A celestial object hovering over Earth, flamethrowers being used, and emergency failsafes, like, come on, that's all pretty generic sci-fi shit. That's like getting mad that another shooter also has bullets in the game. To me, that seems completely like a non-issue. That doesn't scream, copyright infringement, plagiarism. Now, if you want to talk about the names like War Beasts and Red Legion being exactly the same, I still think that's a moot point because those aren't really unique names either, especially considering Destiny. The name of everything in that game is basically just like a title or like a caveman naming it. The Traveler, the Witness, the Left Shoe, the Accountant, the Bath Master, War Bath, Bath War. Like, that's kind of just the whole naming scheme of that game. So Red
You can tell he bought a little bit of bathwater back in the day.
Legion and War Beast, that doesn't scream that they stole something from this guy. There is nothing that I've seen listed in this lawsuit that makes me actually think Bungie stole from this guy's fucking WordPress in 2013, 2014 to make the Destiny storyline. But the timing of this lawsuit could not be better for Casper Cole because Bungie themselves can't combat it. They are unable to produce the content that they are being accused of stealing because they don't have access to it themselves. Bungie archived the original code that comprised the Red War and Curse of Osiris campaigns known as legacy builds, according to Tyson Green. However, the Red War and Curse of Osiris legacy builds can no longer run because their outdated code is incompatible with Destiny 2's underlying operational framework, which has evolved considerably since the Red War and Curse of Osiris campaigns were retired. As a result, Bungie cannot feasibly provide the court with the original Destiny 2 game as it existed in 2017, including the accused Red War and Curse of Osiris campaigns in any operable or reviewable form, nor will Bungie be able to produce the accused campaigns in operable or reviewable form if this matter proceeds to formal discovery. So after they put them on the bench, took them out behind the barn, and put them down, they no longer can get them back because they've updated the game too much. So they can't actually get the game again.
Well, to be fair, they're actually saying they updated the engine. It's no longer compatible.
So, when they made a motion to
and why this matters is because, well, if they have to make the code compatible with the new engine, that means that they're pretty much rewriting the evidence. That's probably not good.
Dismiss this case, they were basically showing up with their pants down. They had nothing to show. So what they relied on was YouTube videos. But not just YouTube videos, wiki pages as well. Bungie insisted the attached videos are the best possible way for the court to review the accused work. Exhibit B was a 10-hour lore video put together by a YouTuber named My Name is Biff. Banger video, by the way. Exhibit C was a cutscene compilation, again put together by a fan, which is 2 hours and 40 minutes long. But the judge, Susie Morgan, she wasn't playing ball with it. She was not pleased with this maneuver, and it was not sufficient. So she denied this motion to dismiss. The court will...
that's pretty insane. But I guess there is a point to dismiss that because, well, it's a YouTube video. Since no one has the original shit, I mean, what if they just picked a YouTube video that fits them better? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe that's not all of the cutscenes. Maybe it's actually missing something. Who knows? So I guess it does make sense that she would dismiss it.
Will not consider the exhibits attached to defendant's motion to dismiss and will not convert the defendant's motion to dismiss to a motion for summary judgment. There has not been sufficient time for discovery, and the attachments are admittedly of third-party origination. Their authenticity has not been established. Basically, Bungie brought piss to a shit fight here, and the judge was not having it. She said, I'm not watching these video essays. You scram with this. Wipe it in your ass and get out of the court with this. Thus, the lawsuit is proceeding. The case is going forward. And I really don't know what Bungie is going to do. They are adamant that it can't be restored, which is pretty mind-boggling to me. I don't know how they wouldn't have like backups of previous builds of the engine or something just for a case like this, to be honest, where you need an older build of the engine or the framework so that way you could restore these things should you ever want to down the line.
I mean, the question is also here, do you think Bungie's lying? I think they're lying. They should be technically able to, I mean, backtrack the engine if they needed to, but that would probably be ridiculously expensive. And for a dead company, well, not a dead company, but a company that's getting taken over by Sony, probably not really great.
Especially with things like remasters and remakes being so commonplace, it just makes sense to me that you would still have something like that. But I'm just a fucking idiot with a tiny little reptile brain, so maybe I'm on the crack pipe with that take. But what I think I'm 100% in the right on here is that it is ridiculous to be vaulting content in the first place if there is no means ever of getting it back. That is paid content. People paid for that. I paid for that when it came out.
Sucks to suck.
And I haven't been able to play it for 5 years and will likely never be able to play it again. Same with everybody else on the fucking planet, it seems. I don't really...
By the way, this is kind of insane. I never understood the Disney content vaulting shit. They're saying is because they don't want the game to be too big. I don't understand this. Like World of Warcraft does the same shit, right? But it's somehow not too big. I mean, you can go to retail and you can level in Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Mists of Pandaria, some other gay place, another very gayer place. I mean, you have so many countless shitty options, and they kind of can do all of that, but but Destiny can't. I never understood that.
You know what the next move is?
But then again, I literally don't know anything about computers, and I think they run on black magic, which no one has been sufficiently capable of proving me wrong on.
Is for Bungie. Maybe they'll start submitting goddamn Let's Plays to the courts or something. Like, here, check this out. Look how much fun they're having. No mention of Casper Cole anywhere. That no one's picking up on the similarities. Check it out. Like, I don't know. They're going to have to find a way to actually get the campaign back. But, again, I'm not a lawyer either. I feel like Casper Cole's team would probably then make a case that it's been altered. I'm not trying to go like full anime protagonist here, like it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Season 2. Next, you're going to say it's been altered. But I feel like that'd be the natural evolution of the argument here in this case. Because if Bungie somehow does produce a reviewable and operable Red War or Curse of Osiris campaign to present to the courts, who's to say they haven't just taken out the offending material of the lawsuit that it points out, right? Like, they've already said they cannot do it. So if somehow they're able to miraculously do it...
Now, the funniest part about this is the fact that, imagine, you are a lawyer. You finished law school. You know, you think you're gonna be the big dog on the block now. And what happens? Well, you have to spend your fucking day watching a 10-hour lore video by Biff because fucking reasons. Yeah, didn't exactly think your life is gonna go that way now, did you? That is pretty well. And the best part is you don't know anything about gaming, you don't know anything about Destiny, so all of this shit is just random to you, which is the most funniest part.
Would that not raise eyebrows about, like, well, can we trust this? It's fucking fascinating. It's a real brain buster here with the pickle that Bungie finds themselves in. So the YouTube links and everything weren't even considered here because in the initial filing, well, Martineau, I don't exactly know how to say his last name, I'll be honest. That's why I've been calling him Casper Cole. Casper Cole never made any mention of, like, YouTube or wiki links, so they didn't even consider it. It was deemed, like, off limits, kind of, I guess. And then Judge Morgan also pointed out that the case is actually pretty complicated, even when Bungie cited previous rulings, saying this case would require a much more complicated side-by-side analysis even if the court had access to a complete version of Destiny 2. She also noted how the game and the written work aren't even in the same format. Rather than compare a brief movie scene and a copyright for a pinball machine, it appears the defendant is asking the court to compare a collection of short writings to 13 plus hours of third-party originated YouTube videos of Destiny 2 and several third-party originated online Destinypedia pages. Now, if you've got...
Yeah, again, that's the thing. It's third-party, so you don't know if it's altered.
Your thinking caps on, to me, there seems to be like a really glaring thing that I haven't seen pointed out in any of the articles. How the fuck is Casper Cole making these arguments in the first place if there is no Red War or Curse of Osiris?
Yeah. I also thought about that, but I thought that it's going to be explained, but now that he mentioned this, there's 2 minutes left, so... yeah, okay, let's... Actually, now this is getting interesting.
...to compare to anymore anyway. Like, how is he able to reference these things? I'm assuming the only way he'd be able to make these comparisons, since, again, the Red War and Curse of Osiris don't actually exist in the game anymore, is he would be comparing it to YouTube videos and shit. That'd be the only way. While he might not have directly referenced them in the lawsuit, there is no possible way for him to even be making these comparisons in the first place without that. So it is in a weird spot to me because, again, there is nothing there for Red War or Curse of Osiris. They've already blinked it out. Like, it's gone. So even Casper Cole, when making these arguments, is making them against a fucking ghost. There isn't a Red War or Curse of Osiris campaign that is playable and reviewable that he is making these comparisons to. So it's a bit weird for sure. Now, at the end of the day, do I think Bungie stole his work? Like, copied his story beats for Destiny?
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if it's even accidental. No one knows.
Destiny? Absolutely not. There is nothing I've seen listed here that screams plagiarism or anything like that. I also just highly doubt they would go to a random WordPress from 2013 and 2014 and start taking directly from it to make the Destiny campaign.
Listen, when China has a whole fucking industrial market that is a decent percentage of their whole GDP, and that's literally making fake foods, like fake fucking eggs, this doesn't seem that wild and strange suddenly. If you put this in a vacuum, yeah, this seems kind of strange. But would you not want to become a big dude by doing something like this? You probably never thought you're gonna get caught anyway. You know, you change maybe a thing here or there. I think this is not exactly as unlikely as it is possibly, because this is definitely something that humans would not even hesitate twice about honestly doing. Anyway, that was most critical to know of 10. Bye.